It's in 2011, during my junior and senior year of high school, that I would take my lunches in the back of this building. It is there that I began my work known as Gratz. It's working in the back of a seminary building in this hallway with the lights out how it is now, sitting at a desk much like this that I first did my drawing of Vancouver. When I was listening to music at the time, the song that influenced his original design was The King of Pain by the Police. During the designing process, I finally got sick of that song, so I changed it over, and it was Rush's Spirit of Radio, and I did the design work for Red and Green. And that changed what was going to be a drama into an adventure comedy that would end up defining the next 10 years of my life and become Gratz. All right, so let's start at the very beginning with Gratz Genesis, which didn't earn this name until actually I started publication with the second Gratz book. Up till that time, it was just known as Gratz. So this was done back in probably started around 2010 or so, during my lunch breaks at school. Really didn't want to hang out with anyone, and I liked reading World of Warcraft webcomics, and so I just read a lot of them, and when I was running out, and I thought, well, if I want more stuff like that to read, I should be the one to create it. So I did some Google searching and found that the term Gratz was not taken, and it tied in with just kind of the nice World of Warcraft lingo and such, and so started with that name. And here we have the title page, or the original title page. As you can see, it's just called Gratz. So this was the actual very first page I did. This was done with just a mechanical pencil, printer paper, and Corella twistable colored pencils. So we have what, among the many misspellings, so it's supposed to have been the Stranglethorn base. You can see the little airlift there, kind of the wall that surrounds that place if you know it in the game, and how it's kind of situated near the beach. We have red and green. So now talking about looking for girls, and Gorok, the old orc, not really being too interested, with Vancouver taking bets for with Gorok of how well it's going to work, or how fast before it all goes wrong. Something to notice that Vancouver was actually trying to remember the naming I had of my very first WoW character, which I think only made to like level 12 or whatever, because it's on the wrong server and I had to change servers to play with my friend. So that's just a fun little historical note there, where that name comes from. And here we have the aftermath of things going wrong. Now, that day in my government class, we had gone over rather censorship and if it should be around or not. So we got a nice big censorship joke here. And Vancouver having to pay up to the much wiser Gorok and knows how long it takes things to go south. Complete with another censoring joke. Now, it's by this point that Gratz moved from being a gag-a-day comic to a continuous story. And so we have the first distant drawing of Starfire, which was named after the druid ability that they have, the nice big hard-hitting arcane one from back in the day. But at the time I was doing this, it was actually Wrath of the Lich King, I think, when I was doing that, or this comic, or drawing this during lunch. And trying my best to create like the orange highlights of the setting sun with colored pencil. So yeah, so when you don't know what to talk about, you just kind of blabber out anything that happens. Oh my gosh. I decided early on I never want to be embarrassed of anything I've drawn or the mistakes I make, because every mistake I've made has led me to where I am today. I've learned from them, and one thing I learned is better head shape. I mean, the muzzle here comes out a long ways. And what was this? It's like page 5, and Starfire is already making the moves, and Vancouver has no idea how to handle it. So we have this, I guess, I don't know where this came from. Maybe it came from my mom, just the early jokes on about the woman being the one to really kind of push and tease with the relationship. We have a rare thing of me really trying to draw some leaves around the bush. And here we have a nice little visual gag that doesn't really translate too well of a warlock. And I think at the time this was supposed to be similar to, I think it was a Burning Crusade warlock set. And when I drew a lot of this, like I said, I was at school at lunch and I didn't have a smartphone. I just had a standard cell phone that with an MP3 player in it that I would listen to the radio through, because it also did have that. Like local radio, the headphones are serving as antenna. So I had no way to look up what the actual armor and stuff would look like. So I just had to try and draw it from memory. Which, I mean, did have some perks to that gave it a nice mobile mouth. But here we have that memory issue of a fell guard. I was like, well, they got kind of like a horned helmet thing, but instead of having the big horn that comes out like this, I gave them these little spines going backwards. And I don't know where the joke came from to make him like a butler. But I did, I suppose, you know. Maybe it's like, oh, they're your demonic servants, so went into kind of the whole butler aspect of it. So he's got a nice little tux and towel. So here we have a Shadow Bolt with red and green protecting their wonderful identical faces. We have a Fel teleport now. I can't remember if this was before the summoning circle for warlocks was put into the game or not. So no idea where he teleported to, or if that was in the game. But yeah, so teleportation, if you're going to use magic, you gotta have a way to get out of trouble. And here we have the little sneaky guy playing grab butt, and promptly getting a mace to the head. Now, fun note is that this whole joke came from an episode of Ghost Hunters, where one of the guys thought he felt something grab his butt, and he started playing grab ass, and so I did a grab butt joke there based off of that. Making a double joke about cow, calling him a cow because she's a female Tauran, all right? And the proper term for a female bovine, as I understand, is cow. But a cow is also not something very nice to call a woman. So yeah, nice little thing there. Also, just being impressed with the kick range. Now out of summoning distance, and poof, gone. Gorok's helmet's changed there. Listen now, so now here we are at Booty Bay. We got the nice little cove thing there. There's a ramp that goes up to the Stranglethorn Pirates, and just some other stuff. I think this is like where that flight path sits. And we got the nice little drama thing going on here. She's gone back to be a better druid because, I mean, it's only been 14 pages, and she's not contributing enough. So, you know, Vancouver, he wants to be supportive because, you know, I mean, when someone wants to benefit themselves, but, you know, you should try and be supportive. Here's a nice little plastic sheet that protects the page from the scan, and the scans are in there. So Vancor's working on getting up his fishing scale, feeling bad, but Gorok's not having any of that. She's gonna get better, he's gonna get better too. So we have a nice little montage of Vancor absolutely suffering. Gorok is not the kind teacher. He understands that the greater the failure, the stronger the lesson. So here we are going to Moongale, coming out of those tunnels with those bears in it that somehow they have the rep for. to get through there.
Hello there.
And Vancouver being very happy because he gets to see Starfire again. So here we have just some idea of what the building in Moongale was supposed to look like. Vancouver being very happy, Starfire being very happy to see Vancouver, and this guy not appreciating the brute of the brutal warrior, or the charm of the brute warrior. Vancouver gets mad. A nice little fight. Listen now, this guy looking much more like a savage and a thug than the actual warrior. Yeah, it just turns out into a full-on brawl. Gorak not even spilling his drink, he just knows what to do. Don't know what's up with this guy, why I made him look like a martial artist, but I did. Just get caught in the air and used as a weapon. No one tosses an elf, a nice play off of Lord of the Rings. No one tosses a dwarf. Just a fight going on, and now everyone's brawling, and Gorak's getting Vancouver out, and Starfire decides just to douse this lady here with what's not fire. It's supposed to be the amber color of alcohol, but when you got colored pencils and amber's not one of them, that's the best you can do. So we got from my first drawing that if you take a look now will probably show I haven't gotten any better at drawing boats, but we have an idea of why douse one with the drink for the Mist Druid competition. That's me actually trying to write in cursive. That's funny enough a skill I learned in 3rd grade, or they tried to teach me in 3rd grade, and I never really got down. Never really was able to learn to write cursive. But we got the names of some different people, some alts and such, like this X right here was actually a alt of mine. I think by this time Cataclysm came out, and that was a Tauren Paladin of mine. Here we have misspell, a joke that I can't spell. But yeah, so some stuff in there. And we actually have here Becky, which is my sister, the one that's been publishing the books. So that's just a little tip that she was in there, or reference to her. So here we have what would work as a double spread in the paper version of this when you would read it. And it's to mimic the loading screens of. I don't remember if they still do this, but back in the day, of having the red lines that would go towards the destinations or whatnot. And this comes down here to where Buoy Base sat approximately. Once again, didn't have Google, so it's like, oh, the map looks something like this. So we have a red and green playing around Buoy Bay, just being alive, getting into trouble with more charming women. And just being happy Gorak wasn't around, except he is now. So pick him up and find out a little bit about the Kodo Club. I can't remember entirely why I did this and when I dropped it, but for a long time, red and green, the was always replaced with the. And I think even here I might have made that mistake and had to go through and erase it. This is, of course, just the red-green show code. I think it was for the Possum Club. I'm not entirely sure. It's been a while. And, of course, the whole thing was just a red-green joke, so no one else is here for this meeting. Gorak, not happy, so they just got to move on out. So here we have a nice little character page. I can't remember why I started doing these, but it's just an idea of just to do like a more complex drawing at the time or whatnot. So you see like a bit of shoulder armor, sometimes print on the flower, some feather bracers, a green armband. I mean, I suppose that's always been there, but yeah, just do a nicer drawing. But yeah, So here we have trying to do a night scene when it's dark, and all you got is a black colored pencil, and that's how you just draw dark. It's just there you go. So here we have just them kind of moving on, and Grok is about to share them an old story from his younger days. So here we have a guy that totally accidentally ended up looking like Marcus from Gears of War. That was not intentional. At the time I did this, I didn't even really like Gears of War. I thought it was a little silly with the chainsaw gun. I was kind of one of those people. But of course, Gorak being bald in his older age, now it's got that magnificent head of hair and beard. And here we have a hunter with the Hunter Heirlooms set, or what would be it. And so I got like the little shoulders with the spikes on the dog head and some kind of a bow. Here we have the leader spouting the High Warlord armor set, I think, which is personally one of my favorite armor sets in WoW. I only ever got like the champion shoulders, the tanned ones for the warriors, way back when. But yeah, High Warlord has always been my personal favorite, but never really wanted to take the time to grind out the stuff for it in WoW. And we can see with the two big swords that he was running, Titan Grip. So here we have a assault on the tower, a guard just standing, minding his own business when he gets ambushed by this guy. The little sneaky guy who I think is also running the heirloom leather shoulders. A lot of heirloom gears on these twinks. So here we have the ambush as they kill the guards in their sleep. Another real respectable thing to do. Of course, the hunter's got a dog that detects the patrol coming, who is alarmed that orcs are there. It sounds the alarm. Hunter takes them out with an open face visor, just right in there. Gorak running a polearm. I can't remember why I decided to give the orc a spear, but I did, and we see him put in use to it now. Got a wizard that just takes out their leader like all good mage, I guess wizards do. They're just super powerful, and everyone's shocked, even the dog. He's of course got some kind of magic stuff ready to stop his shield and the daggers, but not one angry Gorak that takes his head off with a spear. Because don't you know, spears are for slashing. So we have Gorak here, kind of just telling them the stories and such, and Ragran just appreciating none of it. Except these two. Maybe they'll appreciate it. So we find this old tower that Gorak and his little group attacked way back when, and Red just completely oblivious. And here we go to another wonderful reference. Some guy defending. Here, I completely forgot how to draw stone walls. That you don't do a grid pattern, it's offset. You see, I did it right here, but no, I completely forgot there. Yeah, I'm coming down the tower. It's a long ways down and ready to challenge the orc. And suspiciously, you never see his face. That's because his name is Wilson. Wilson? From Home Improvement. The neighbor who you pretty much only ever see half his face. Wilson the Paladin. Except we don't learn that yet. We learn that. We learn about that right here. So we've got a nice standoff. I tried to do the perspective of the ground, like shooting way back into the distance, but gave up partway through and swapped to the horizontal coloring. I mean, even by this point, page 47, so I guess it's been a while to see that my ability to color has gotten better than those first few pages. So, of course, he uses Judgment. This was back in the day when Judgment wasn't a hammer that you threw. It just dropped a golden hammer onto a person from the sky. So Gorak almost get a hit here, and Red being scared of a Paladin, because Paladins back in the early days of WoW seem to have been really, really good. I mean, I remember just getting frustrated all the time within the PvP. So we have a nice little fight. Gorak using the polearm just as a spear, more of a multiple weapons. But both of these guys, they know what they're doing. They know how to put up a fight. Starfire getting a little nervous of just how intense the fight is going to be. This is the most we've seen Gorak ever really had to put up a fight, and he uses Thunderclap, the nice warrior stomp ability, which I can't remember if that's in the game, but it's like a low-level stomp ability that AoE'd the targets around you, and I think had a high threat generator. And so it's pretty good, mainly meant for holding Argo while tanking. But despite it being low level, I always thought that you're stomping the ground and creating a shockwave. That seems like it should probably be a little stronger than something like Slam, where you're just hitting the target really hard. But the shockwave worked and injured the Paladin Wilson, who, like any good Paladin, immediately bubble shields. So Gorak brings out Shattering Throw, breaks the shield, and he teleports out of there with a non-existent Paladin teleportation ability. I don't know why I decided this. It just seems like any magic user should have the means to teleport. I mean, what else would you get around? So Gorak cleans up the dirt on his face and that's the end of that. Gotta keep going. So here, I don't know where they're asleep, but looks like Green is having it. This might be supposed to be out in Duskwood or something like that. And it's 4 Tauren ladies. So fun note, this was supposed to be a crossover where I had an idea of having multiple different comics with slight overlapping. And so this one was going to be about, at a time, Taurens only had 4 starting classes: Hunter, Warrior, Druid, and Shaman. And so the idea was that these 4 would have been raised or adopted by a Death Knight who tried to flee the Lich King, but was eventually hunted down and killed, and so they were going out to try and get revenge for him. And they came to Gorak, they came to Rangrain, making themselves quickly presentable. So they came to Gorak because they needed help from his help with what would have been kind of a quest on their own, and he would go out and do that. Kunga, Azun, Eprica. I don't remember how I came up with all of these names. I think I had a hunter named Kunga for a while, but that's all I could remember of that. Yep, and here they are talking about needing help from Gorak, but here we see that, this was the Tauren that they were bothering back in Booty Bay. So they get out and hide behind their big Tauren shield. So here we see that the hunter has a Firehawk pet, which I did actually level a Tauren hunter for a bit, that's right. And I went out to Silver Moon and got a Dragonhawk pet, just because I thought they were really cool and it was a combination you didn't see a lot. So we have the Druids talking here. Back before I started posting on Gratz, we can kind of not so much see it here entirely, but I did do an experiment with this page where I tried to trace these lines in with a marker to make them darker, so that way they would come up better in the scans. This was before I got the digital pen and I was trying to figure out how I was going to do this. Obviously, this way didn't work. So that wasn't going to last. So we see them talking and Red and Green doing some leering. This was, I think, inspired by a Psych episode where Gus accuses Sean of leering before Gus starts to leer, and Sean's like, now that's leering. So that's where that comes from. We see the warrior notices it, and it looks like she was a Fury warrior running the single-minded Fury, or maybe just wasn't high enough level yet. Of course, they got ratted out and slapped for leering at the tush. Come think of it, the gun, the bullets, the goggles with the green lens. This might have been Tyria might have been a subconscious continuation of this character idea. Oh, that's certainly weird. So Gorak goes off to help them, and so they get some downtime. You think with Red and Green always complaining about all the traveling they have to do, that they would be happy to have downtime, but no, they are bored. Green is playing with fire, Red is drooling. So here we have that idea of the little extra drawing again with a much more warriored out Vancor. He's rocking the Horde symbols, got the black and red armor, so you know he means business. He's got a more dangerous looking axe. I think there's an axe that looked kind of like this in the game, but I can't remember now what it's called. It might have just been like a regular blue model or something like that. So here we have Starfire just being up to her tricks, playing games with Vancor. Amazing sense of balance. This is probably one of the more dynamic poses I tried to draw back then. Before he fell right into her trap, so she dunked him again. So that's just kind of that. So everyone's here to have a party in the pool or the little pond, but what's this? Somebody's watching. So I gotta dry out all this stuff. I'm sure Vancor has an extra pair of pants that are exactly the same color. They sneak off. So they sneak off to have some time together and trying to draw kissy faces. Oh, this is fun. Red and Green spouting that magic to make lights completely ruin it for her. She's the one upset. She's the one who wants these games and such. Vancor's a dimwit that can't put that together. So he's trying to run, and he runs into some of the local townspeople. But I don't know what's up with that. I don't know if he was supposed to be a defiler, outlaw, or what that group was in those mines in that hideout back in Classic WoW. Yeah. It's been a long time. Here we have just some small reference of Lenny and George from Of Mice and Men. Got Lenny with a mouse. Red's just having a bad night all around. He's got Starfire at him. He's got people just regular humans after him. Starfire is ambushed by this guy who breaks her mace with his magic dagger. Probably rocking like a damage +1 or whatever it is on it. Vancor in with the heroic throw and takes the guy out and is in a right fine rage, just tossing people about like a good old bull does when it's angry. He's blind with rage. So let's move on. Here, Vancor going through just heaving people in half. I always thought that it'd be terrifying to fight a Tarn warrior just with how big they are and the weapons they swing around. I mean, yeah, it'd be a mess if they came up hitting you. We have Green Hair doing some fire magic. And then them finding where Vancor is as he launches another person overhead. Here he looks like he stole a scythe from one of the people, and Starfire pops, I think this was Moonfire, or something like that. Or maybe that was the Starfire spell. Right? They look very similar when drawn in colored pencil. You have a guy here getting ready to shoot, and poisoned arrow. It's Vancor. Snap. Poisoned Starfire not having it. Hits him with a even stronger arcane Starfire or Moonfire, whatever that is. And here she uses it was a knockback spell. I can't remember if it was called like Hurricane Wind or something like that, but a knockback spell to blow people away. And she blew them very far away. But she's sad because Vancor's been shot with a poison arrow. But she's going to help him. She's going to tear that out and heal that up, which you should probably be very careful with doing if you're ever shot by something, especially if it's got a nice, nasty barbed head like that. That's just going to tear a lot coming out. But it's a good thing she's a druid and with a 5-second healing touch cast. He's good. He's up. So now they move on where they beware of danger around every corns. My wonderful misspelling coming out there as they continue on up from whatever part this is towards Silvermoon. So now we're in Silvermoon, or at least what I can remember of it. Red and Green are happy. Starfire's off to do her plans. It's nighttime. They're meeting up with Starfire, and she's all gussied up, looking nice. And Vancor is very shy and flabbergasted at her, and I think she's happy with that. She's quite pleased. So here we have a reference, trying to do an onomatopoeia for a guitar intro. This would be Rush's Spirit of Radio. So you have a orc Alex Lifeson, a troll Nia Peart with the surrounding drum set, and what else would Geddy Lee be but an elf? And doing the first line of Rush, begin the day with a familiar voice, plays that song that's so elusive. That's not how the song goes, but that's as best as I could remember it. I think even listened to it on repeat a few times, just the intro to try and write that, and I still got it wrong because that's not the intro. So here we have a nice little stage. Gorak making a reference that, yeah, all the old guys got to see the cool bands. So there we have Red and Green having some success. Girl's not completely ashamed of them and their gluttonous kebabs. So disappointingly, Rush, not a good song to dance to. So the closest we got were the With or Without You by U2. So they get to dance. And Gorak interrupts Vancor. Starfire's sad, but Vancor's smart and comes back for it this time. And so now they're happy. He's thinking about it. She's thinking about it and is quite happy. And that's what took like 97 pages to get that far. So here we had Red and Green had changed their hair to blue, but Gorak was mad at them because now no one could tell them apart. And this was a fell joke where there's supposed to be a third troll that looked exactly like them but with blue hair. Just a joke of, oh, now there are 3 of them. So here we are all the way out into the Barrens, which is very, very far. Uh-oh, nice little fire ambush going on here. And what is it? Oh, it's our gnome warlock again. This time being held up on a platter so that way he looks taller by the butler. And then we have the elf, Starfire doused with a drink. Paladin Wilson, but we need one more person to even things out. So why not just this guy? Just some random dwarf that just happened to be around. So we have a nice little fight breaking out with the druid turning into their druid cat form. Vancor gets shot by the little friend, which is the dwarf. Gorak's not having any, but just immediate going go and take out that paladin. I think I tried to write something there, and it looks like it didn't quite work out. And Gnome Warlock deciding that he's done with his butler's annoying comments, so he dismisses him, forgetting he's still up in the air. So here we have Vancor and this unknown dwarf just fist fighting. I mean, this guy's ripped. He busts his sleeves by flexing so hard. And Vancor's so big he can't wear a shirt. Just a bandolier. So here we have the gosh darn it. The Night Elf Druid doing an amazing job changing the contours of the mouth before getting caught in entangling roots. That Starfire used, which is by me, it's like, just druids that can shapeshift out of in and out immediately escape root effects. So this must have been around the time of Cataclysm, because the Gnome Warlock is busting out the Metamorphosis, which Red and Green aren't thrilled with. This dwarf is running fist weapons. Back in the day when hunters ran fist weapons in addition to the range stuff. But there's just one problem. He's still a dwarf, Vancor's still a Tauren. He's just got the longer arm reach. And here we have Metamorphosis time expiring and him turning back, and Red and Green, they're good sports. They don't mean to really hurt anyone, so they just humiliate him and send him on his way. Starfire using probably the world's most overpowered Wraith attack. Back in the day when it was green instead of the yellow it is now. That launches the Night Elf up and back down. So, of course, everyone being magic users just teleports out, and except for the hunter, doesn't got magic. I mean, technically, I guess they did use mana in the day, but still not the same. So he just has to hoof it out there, just turn on that aspect of the cheetah, and he's gone. So here we have a red and green in their little more complex page.
Hello there.
Alright, so here we are out in Civilis? That place with the bugs and AQ raid. We have some nice little bug stuff here, nice little fort with, we had I thought 3 buildings there, the tower and the inn. Of course, it's just very hot and dry, and they got a quest to go and take out Deathclaw or something like that, which I think might be a actual quest in the game, if I can't remember if it is or not. And here we have a clear indication that I did not think about how to draw a scorpion when coming up with this. So here they are sneaking through the desert. Except they're not being as sneaky as they thought, because Deathclaw has found them looking perhaps no less ridiculous than what a scorpion actually does. I mean, the scorpions where I live, I've been stung by scorpions. I've squished scorpions. You would think I know what a scorpion looks like, and it does not look like this, but it's a good scorpion monster. We can see it's very big as it comes crashing down on the ledge. They are causing a nice little slide that they all have to try and get down, including Deathclaw. He's doing a good job with it. It doesn't bother him. Vancor makes a nice cushion for Starfire and gets her out of there as an angry Deathclaw comes after them. That Stinger comes crashing down. Gorak, he's already up to stuff, trying to stab it between the little chitin plates on it to hurt it, get that nice bug, green blood. Red's got a rock stuck in his mouth, so it's going to be a minute before he can start casting. Vancor lost his axe, but he's strong, so he's holding off one of its pincers from getting him. Here comes the Stinger. Vancor sees it and cuts off its own tail. So Vancor, he's already at it again. He's not giving any room. He grabs that tail, but miscalculation because tail's stronger than Vancor is, so just lifts him up. and drops him onto his head. Starfire tosses her the dagger that broke the mace, the +1 damage, which Vancor plunges into its head. Inflicts quite a bit of damage. Red and green are finally up and doing some stuff as they fire some, fireballs that break off part of it, and Vancor grabs the stinger and he gets him with a nice bug gut. And so here we have me doing a thing of trying to make it look like slime or gross bug guts by not doing all the detail like the hair and the mouth and stuff like that. So here we have Gorak, a younger and older version of him. Nice little for that complex picture. Here we have Starfire being very excited with the gentleman that is Vancor. And here we have Red and Green surprisingly hiding from a girl. One that I'm sure they did something to bother her because this is what they do the whole time. And so we get a throwback to that when they were somewhat younger, and just a Bill and Ted's reference of the dueling mages. That's just totally a Ted right there, just 100%. So we have Merlin from Disney's Sword in the Stone. Just not impressed with their antics, and the delinquent mage is sitting next to the Harry Potter gang. We have Red and Green setting up the new place. They got a Van Halen poster, good taste in music. Talking about some girl that they're excited that they each don't realize that they both have a date with until they realize here, and then they get in a fight with each other. A very mature wizard fight that involves ear pulling and eye poking until it heats up enough to actually bring out fire. So trashes both of them, and she rides by on the mechanical mount. I forgot what that was called, but yeah, the motorbike that's in the game. I just haven't had her fun and played with them. And so then they got kicked out of school for that and just kind of roamed until Gorak picked them up. And here we see them having gotten in trouble with Marcel, and the big old ogre and forces coming out after them. To which Vancor saves them and recruits them into his little group now. So that's how they got drafted. So Gorak's interrogating Vancor about if he's really interested in Starfire or not, and he is, so that's that. Gorak knows what they're doing next. So now they're traveling all the way back to Thunderbluff, where Starfire's going to have to go back home and face her parents and introduce them to Vancor. Starfire being frustrated and scared, varying between calm and not worried to absolutely terrified of what her dad's going to say. Forcing him to clean up and look presentable, and then try to decide if he should wear a shirt or not. She gets to look at him, so she likes that. She gets her eye candy. Let's see now. So come back home. For some reason, I never really figured how to work with this, but Taurans live in tents. But here we see clearly that they have a hut, or a cabin with a tent door. So I guess that's how things work. And Mama Starfire, not really having it with old Gorak, getting her little baby in trouble, but being happy that he keeps her safe. So now we meet Starfire's dad, a high enough level druid to have unlocked the flight form for the travel form, back when there was a separate spell. But no dad can stay mad at their daughter. They're quick to forgive. I got two little sisters. I know that the dads will forgive the daughters long before the sons. It's not that bad, really, but just a nice little joke to play off of that stereotype. So got to introduce them, get to know each other, and a flashback of how Starfire met Vancor. And that is after Gorak was visiting his old buddy. Gosh, I can't remember. Roots, I think I called him. Roots. As he passed through. Starfire, of course, wants a life adventure, so she is going to follow him. And then threatens, I'm leaving home. I'm either going with you or I'm going somewhere else and get into trouble. So Gorak decides, whatever, you'll just come with. And so we find Vancor is out in what I believe would be Bloodhoof Village at that time, just kind of living there alone. I can't remember if I had the backstory for him, if he was an orphan or not, but he just lives out there, takes care of the Quell Boar, keeps them in line. Starfire strips on a log and gets on Vancor's wristband, which serves as her armband. So that's how they met, and where Starfire got that armband. And so here they set out for Stranglethorn and bring us to the start of the adventure. I can't remember why Gorak maybe he just wanted an apprentice and knew Vancor was that there was a big Tauren with nowhere to go in life, so figured, well, just go and recruit him. And so here we find out that Gorak's secretly been keeping Starfire's parents in the loop of what's been going on. You see, she never really snuck away. They allowed it. So here we have the first little inkling of a flashback that there's something to Gorak's past that wouldn't be expanded on until the later books. So here we have a nice little montage of the family getting to know each other, saying goodbye to Starfire, and now they're heading north to Winter Springs. Winter Springs, super easy to draw. Just draw some lines, don't color it in. There you go, you have snow. So even Vancor had to put a jacket on for the snow. And poor Gorak, he's got no hair to keep his head warm, so he has to bundle up. And what do they find up here? Oh, it's the old hunter buddy and the old dog. The Rock. Which I think that might have been a Dwayne Johnson joke I did. I can't remember. Yeah, so they're at the cabin. Something like that. Just enjoying getting warm. Vancor is wearing a sweater. He's got a horrible sweater. Starfire gets to pet the old dog. It's an old dog. It just wants to be held, pet, sit by the warm fire, fall asleep. When the music draws her out. It seems to me I can't remember what this was. It might have been from like a Scooby-Doo episode. Just this magic notes coming out of the town and drawing people away. Scooby-Doo, maybe Courage the Cowardly Dog. But she wakes up and is captured by... I forgot what I call these people. These might have been by some bad-looking Taurens. But it's not just Taurens, it's others as well. Some kind of cult group. I think this was supposed to be the Burning Blade or something like that. Gosh, there's just so many of these little niche groups within WoW that were just in certain regions that I'm only familiar with because I didn't understand how questing worked. So I just go find like a cave or a plateau or something and run around killing people there to get XP because I didn't understand how questing and WoW worked. So here we see that I probably had to change color pencils or something at this point because coloring got real light in here. But Vancor's not finding Starfire. Starfire is chained down and is to be drained of her magic, which doesn't go over very well. Because I think around at this point, I was getting set to wrap up the first book of Gratz because I was getting ready to go on my mission. It was by this time almost 2000 and I think I might have even graduated high school by this point. So sometime in 2011. Yeah, paper or something definitely changed here. I'm just looking at these scans like, oh, this looks really different than the earlier stuff. But Vancor's there to bust her out mummy style, Rick O'Connell mummy style. And they're fighting with the cultists. Vancor's not having it. Gorak's getting real angry. And Starfire is having none of it as she takes the cult guy with the appropriately creepy blind eye, shoves the energy drain into him that just causes him to melt in a gross way, and turns him into ash. And she's tired from that. Little experience when who shows up? Some people that are, gosh, I think they were supposed to be the bronze dragonflight, except I think bronze dragonflight, that's right. It's right there. Maybe if I could read my own writing. But little magic stone thing likes to drain people, but for some reason for Starfire, probably because she's already drained somewhat by it, it's not going to reject her. So they go through the bronze portal. We got a nice little splash page here. And now we're in the bronze dragonflight little hole. We got the nice little purple magic ways up there. And they're talking about what they're going to do, but Vancor's scared that Starfire is going to get hurt. I mean, he's just worried. It's not that he doesn't trust her. He's just worried about her. He's a big softy that way. So Starfire, now rocking a nice green cape, gets ready to set out on what would be approximately the last chapter of this Gratz book. Some nice little Wizard of Oz reference, and Starfire goes through the time portal, which puts her in a very whited out tree place. And it's coming through here that she bumps into a big scary black knight that is surprised and seems to follow her. Maybe. When she's trying to go through the woods, hears something, and surprise, it's bandits again, or outlaws again. Once it has in its pockets, I wanted an accidental Hobbit reference with Smeagol there. So I think most of these pages, it seems like I drew when I was in California on vacation at the time, just trying to cram and get it all done with that family reunion. Starfire does magic, got the Wraith, got the Roots going on, got some arcane thing. Can't remember what this one was called. It might not have even actually been anything. Star Search, I think that's what it was. But I don't know if that was a spell at that time or not. Here we have a Void Walker that she's contending with. She's gotten quick and is not going to get touched by no elf. She squares up ready to fight, but she's a druid, not a warrior, so just as they close in, things are looking bad for her. And sure enough, there's a rogue there to get with the Gare route, the silence ability. But she is saved by a throwing axe and this big black knight. Which the armor is just meant to look cool. It's really not based off any particular armor. I think by that time, I was just going with custom armors. Vancor just got flash. Vancor. Big Black Knight just flattens the guy. Big heavy Tarn warrior lands on you. What do you think is going to happen? And everyone gets out of there. The Starfire's left to deal with this iron monstrosity. That's here to not hurt her, but to help her. And goes by the name of Samaritan. So she tells him about the Bronze Dragon mission, and they discuss about how he's going to help her. So she tells him what's up, and he knows of the fort she's talking about. And he does a mount summoning, which, you just reach into your pocket and rub your hands together and out pops a Kodo. But that's not how it works, really. So he does a hauler and brings in the Black War Kodo, which I did actually get this mount and used it for a long time. I think the only reason I don't use it too often is that the model for it is just outdated. There's nicer Kodo models, which it likes her. I mean, maybe it recognizes her, but it likes her. So they get on and then they ride. Thump, 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 thump. For some reason, I knew what a Kodo looks like. To an old fort where they go inside. Of course, the big heavy guy's got a rope enough that he can lift himself. And here's a nice little secret detail. Some claw marks in the ground. Ooh, I wonder what those can mean. So climb up. They go inside. He's got this nice big cape hiding his back, so I don't have to try and draw that. And just break their way in to this abandoned fort. And then they find the generic demon shrine. It's big, it's red, I'm sure it's evil. They don't know what to do either, so takes the evil doohickey, put it on the sinister looking shrine. Gets a nice huge little lightning rumble effect. And also the sound. I guess that wasn't so bad. Except, what's this? Oh, the Bronze Dragonflight is here. Except, it's not the Bronze Dragonflight. It's a Chaotic Dragonflight. Because I forgot what the name of the Infinite Dragonflight was. But Samaritan, he's ready to spring into action. So he goes charging after her, but he's got magic. So he just launches him up into the ceiling. And Starfire's magic isn't going to work, but a brick will. So this little guy turns into a big, infinite chaos dragon and grabs Samaritan, and they go for a ride. So a nice little fight happens up here, kind of hanging on. As the dragon spirals, just put that axe in there and hang on for dear life. Climb up. Starfire's providing some ground fire. And just working together, just slowly climb your way up top until you smack him enough into the back to drop him from the sky. And then finish off with a nice axe glint and a big crunch. So, Starfire and Samaritan, they've won. And it's time to get out of here. So Starfire uses the little Bronze Dragonflight MacGuffin that was given, so I wish she could signal to go home and go home. Signal to go home, and so she goes home. And realizes never found out who Samaritan really was. But that's okay, because we, the readers, will. So, see, Samaritan takes off his helmet, reads a nice little letter from Starfire and Moonlight. A funny side note is, back when I was finishing up the original Gratz trilogy, I had to actually come back to this page to find out what I named their kid. So this was determined way back, of course, in 2011, this outcome. And that's how I got to get the story of that Vancor and Starfire would get together, even though they were still relatively young during the time of this book. So they come back, everyone's happy to see her. Um, and we get a nice little kiss, and we end it here on a nice little. Oh, I said, God, nice little kiss. End it here. Good place. So yeah, that's that. I guess I'm tired. I'm going to record the next part in a second. All right. So now we are on to Gratz Transition, when Gratz actually started publication way back in 2012. So we have the new transition title page. Everyone's aged up a little bit. You know, Gorak's just even older now. Red and Green hit the gym. And absolutely nothing about Vancor has changed whatsoever. So kind of a bit of story on that is the reason why he is now got black fur as opposed to the brown fur is back in Gratz Genesis we saw that he had the black fur on his shoulders. That was him still maturing and aging up. And so now that he's fully grown, I guess you can say, his fur has completely darkened. I don't know why I did that, I just thought that was something. And so we have, of course, starting off being lost, as you are whenever you start a new story. Lost, you don't know where to go. But they found what they were looking for. Grim Totem. So this would be some Grim Totem in the pine forests. I forgot what that area is called off of the Barrens. And this is where the fighting is taking place, or their mission is taking place. Of course, you have the good old trick of just knock and draw the scout over. And then you take them out from underneath a box. So here we see, find a camp, try and come up with a plan of how do you take it out. And of course what you do, you dress up Vancor. Make him look like a Grim Totem and send him in. It's a good thing his fur darkened, because now he matches them. But of course, Starfire's been up to her little tricks and such. She hasn't changed during this time. She's still just as tricky. Vancor doing the good old practice of Tauren hoof sneaking, however you do that. Which doesn't seem to work, except he's able to lie his way out. Kind of, he isn't going to meet her. Things don't quite go as well. Now story's got good problems. So, you know, just talking, flirting a bit, got the plans, making their escape. So now, got a plan to make their heroic last stand. And I think it's during this time they're still trying to figure out how to get a good system for getting Gratz up to scan and get it published. So not too many stories, although we do see the old mushrooms here, back from, I don't remember when these went away. It might have been Missa Pandera, the druid shroom bombs disappeared. So here they are, they set their little base up and let their positions known, and it's time to fight it out. Alright, and here's one of those experimental pages of trying to get Gratz together. Listen now, I think I might have had Photoshop at this time. But let's see, it looks like I tried to do some line tracing with a pen, and then fill in the colors. And it kind of worked. Not nearly as well, but it's progress. Now we're back here to the colored pencils. That is a Star Surge. That's definitely Star Surge. At that point, I was able to look up what it looked like. So we have just some fighting going on. Gorak doing his stuff. Getting some help from Red, who then transitions over to Red, who gets help from Starfire, who then would transition to Starfire and the first digital pen page I did. January 2013. This is when I had my digital pen, so I was able to start drawing with this. And we see some rough work being done, just and improvement already happening just in between these two panels. This was all done on one layer more or less, and this looks really messy. Here, the gradient to make this little light effect is done on its own layer and erased down at its bottom. So we see me starting to improve here. A bit of particle brush being used. And now transitioning over to Vancor, from Starfire to Vancor, and getting a look at me experimenting using the particle brush to try and do blood. Vancor going to work, taking off arms. Green yoinking his kill, which yoink refers to a call out from Halo Reach, where if you were assassinating a target and someone killed the target you were assassinating, a yoink is what happened. Here we can also see a case example of where I was doing the line work and then filling in that same line work. So this was all on one layer. So just a little example of things that I did wrong in the past and learned from. See me experimenting more of how to try and do trees. Of course, Frost Nova, one of the most annoying abilities in the game for me. Somehow Red was able to set himself on fire and isn't taking fire damage. And Green's not cold. He's rocking that frost armor. So nice little pose up page of everyone. Just now we got more people coming in. And then we got horde reinforcements showing up to drive off the Grim Totem. So we got like a troll here, of course, Tauren, and some experimenting with how to do chainmail. And here we find out that the fire pillar wasn't just to alert the bad guys, it was to alert horde patrols to where they were at and draw attention. And it looks like Green frost armor is a little chilly. Should probably wear a shirt. So walking back, doing some talking, and Green Gorak just chatting with this troll. And here we have Gorak getting old, and then the introduction of the sneak. Also, I think this is the first digital insight page I did, and some nighttime stuff. It's like I used some feathered edge brushing there. So now, sneaking Vancor talking in his sleep till he falls out and sees Sneak, who is not the Volpera. I don't know what the Sneak is, but he's the Sneak. If you don't know, the Sneak is a reference to the Stig from Top Gear, a faceless, non-speaking car driver. So this is a faceless, non-speaking sneaker. Hence the Sneak. And so here we have a first holiday page, a Valentine's Day page. And then we have them going to fight. And absolutely getting trounced by the little guy. Fighting still going on. So now break out some fire. Got some brushes being used to do scorch marks. And Starfire is the one to get the sneak. Of course, Gorak missed all the fun. And here we have a bit of visual comedy on my part. And I think this looks like the first time I tried to do a repeating texture pattern. I tried to draw some panels, some of the wood panels, and then just copied and pasted it. At least I think that's what's going on here. I don't know, it might not be. Anyhow, so close up, pan out. Hey, how's that rope standing up? It's not. He's really hanging upside down. Gorak needing to read it because he's old, and some of my actual handwriting. My handwriting is not that neat, but there it is. So now we get a reference back to Marcel. And red and green trashing the place. It was Gorak who saved them a long time ago, a while ago at this point, before that caused him to be drafted and joining up with him. And they're splitting up the team. Here we have the shading going on. I believe that came from, the idea came from Cliff. I can't remember, but the guy who did Sarah and Kyoko, another WoW comic. I recommend it to improve my work to start doing shadows and shading. And so see some of my earliest attempts at that. Nice, it's a nice little split. I split up again, you know. It's only been a few pages, got to split people up again. I don't know how many pages because now I start titling them with actual names. So we have them going down to the Barrens, them going probably across from Ratchet to the boat, which would probably take them out towards Booty Bay or something like that again. Down to Razor Downs, and this place, which I can't remember, but it's like the Highlands or something like that, I thought. So here we have a big long talk of Starfire, just all the stuff she's worried about, and Red's just not able to keep up with any of it. And this is about how Vancor goes about solving his mental dilemmas. Now let's just stand there and think for a while. So now we have St. Patrick's Day. At the time this went up, I actually had a unique opportunity to get to go and visit with my family to Hawaii. And so I had to borrow my dad's phone because he had a smartphone at the time. And I didn't, to check and make sure that his page went up okay. Even though if it didn't go up okay, what was I going to do? I didn't have a computer. So here we are in Gadgets, trying to find out answers. We get a little sneaky informant that Starfire has to pay for, and into trap, obvious trap you think would be obvious. Some nice gas that knocks people out. And here we have the Raven Tusk Village. I think by this point I was able, since I was working on a computer, I was able to Google stuff and figure out what these places were called. And we have here me playing with the brushes a bit to try and make a more straw-looking hut. Totally a guy who knows nothing. Leading them into, once again, obvious trap, obvious, except this one breaks. This now can't get away from a flying green troll. Capture. It's now Starfire having a nice dream that gets interrupted by Red. Now, I couldn't draw this because this doesn't work in perspectives, but he's actually supposed to be wearing flippers. And I still think this idea is just really funny to me, just how stupid he looks. I thought it was hilarious. Now we can see here me using some of the little pattern brushes to try and make flowers in the backdrop. So here we have, of course, what's Marcel going to be except a mobsterish goblin, or rather a shadowy face with a cigar. So now we come to a non-existent island in the game. So the first, I guess you could say, non-real location in Gratz. Gotta sneak in with some of the buildings. We got rust on the pipes in the bridge here. Trying to create some backgrounds. A Rancor doing a bit of Batman. And then just get rid of people. Not really doing the best Batman part. So there they go, they get them out. All is good. Now I plan to go and find Marcel. Nice little broken window here, just trying to add some visual variety to stuff. And I've obviously gotten better at this point with using the layer tools. It's like this isn't just all one image. This is a layer done for the wall and the window, or the ceiling, I guess, and the window with something out in the background. Sneaking across some roofs, and of course, gotta find Marcel, big golden M, with an outhouse by his place. Take them out from long range with some ice darts. And a Scrooge McDuck level of wealth. Maybe not quite that much money, seeing as how Scrooge McDuck has impossibilitan money. And of course some ogre guards. Oops, and something that can't be seen, but this was supposed to be a Led Zeppelin reference. The flying guy. The little ice darts being put into effect again. One of the few things bigger than a turn is an ogre. Alright, so we got some fire effects being attempted. Some smear, try and blend it. Try and smear it, give it a nice look. Doesn't really work. And here you see me struggling to draw burned skin and charred arms and such. Now this one, I think I actually put up a gore warning on that for back when the WoW Insider or Blizzard Watch, I think it's called now. Actually, listen now, copied my little warning. I'm gonna put a gore warning up there, even though now it just looks like some smeared jam, but whatever. A little bit of an ice fist. Star Surge. This one blended, I think, a little bit better. Looks a little more interesting. But Starfire is she can hold her own. Here she's using Wraith. By this point, the color had changed from green to yellow, and is now kind of going in with that solar stuff that druids have these days. Now they got to get ready to face down Marcel. Little interesting note about this Dibbit here. I learned a little bit about how dents work, or how to color them, just by looking at a bunch of pictures of dents. And that is shadow at the top, light at the bottom, for the most part, because most light is going to be above your head. But yeah, just a little interesting thing there. Of course, we got some nice plants here. Let's now. Looks like yes, these are just a copy and paste of each other. Might even have done that for both halves of the room. There's a trick. If you need to make your rooms even, so that way you could just draw half of it and then copy it and paste it over and just flip it. Of course, we have Marcel. What else does he got but a little Tommy gun, or rather a rifle with a cylinder in it. Of course, now gotta make your warrior your shield. Nice tanky warriors. Green's got move. He knows how to avoid stuff. And what would a goblin be without a goblin mech? So this one is more mechy than most of the goblin choppers, but it's what I went with. I'm trying to get some gear workings as in how would the legs bend. What's now? Oh, Starfire. Healing still green. Healing still green. It's got a nice flamethrower in her hand. I don't know what these air vents, or rather a covering for the fire pipes that would get tossed that way they can air out. Starfire is using that hurricane or gust of wind. Maybe that's what it was called. And hurricane was something else. So of course it's a goblin mech. It's gotta have a buzzsaw. So we've got a buzzsaw here. Going to work. Doing some fighting, some teamwork. Starfire lifts him up, and it's able to crack the glass. Moving on. Oh my gosh, 300 pages, wow. But the fighting's still happening. We've got some more particle brush, and I'm trying to think if there's anything interesting about this stuff to talk about, but no, it's kind of weird in a way, not remembering a whole lot. Because we got Star Surge. No, not Star Surge. I think this one is actually Starfire impacting up here, coming down from above, breaking into the armor. And then that's able to light him up and blow up the robot. But of course, any villain gonna go out with a boom. The money bridge breaks. Jump, and totally not going to make that jump. Maybe, I don't know. But Starfire said, "Here is not my penmanship. This is just a font that I was able to type and put in because I just typed up and put on a piece of paper. Because, like I said, my handwriting is atrocious." And here we see me trying to draw rubble, a continuous problem I still have. Trying to make stuff that doesn't look like sand but properly messy but won't take me a lifetime to make. And surprise, Vancor's alive. Good thing they had a mana potion, able to steer up some stuff. Cut through his armor plate to get it off so he could breathe. I forgot, hippogriffs. Of course, this is just, once again, use the separate layers so you can just copy and paste them. Have Starfire getting ready to do the Emerald Dream. We use a little shadow brush here and copy paste. Coming here to Moongale, which is looking a lot better than when I first drew it. We got the nice little patio thing here where the Flight Master, I think, is at. Blah, blah. Oh, ain't that happy. And a nice little proposal. And she accepts. Hooray! Got some comments here from way back when. This was back in 2013. Still. So here we have the new Orgrimmar with Gorak just being somewhere in it where they got a lot of books. Don't know where that is. Here we have a rough approximation map. Pandaria missing. There. Even though I think Pandaria may have been out by this time, it's not there. I can't remember why. So we have the view with the Razorback Hill or something like that, way up there in the distance. Everyone's getting ready for their trip. Or rather, Gorak get in and they're all going to come with him. Here we have the first 4th of July page. There's some brush for the camos. We got Army, Marines, Navy, and Air Force, and good old America right here. So we have the boat stuff, red and green, trying to decide what they're going to do for Vancor and Starfire's wedding. Starfire being all excited about the wedding and such. I'm trying to think if this was based off something, but I'm not sure. It's so weird because since I've done this page, let's see now, 3 of my siblings have gotten married. So it's just a weird thing to look at. So now, of course, we got a nice little storm that capsizes a boat. And we show up into Pandaria. Particularly, this would be the southern part of Pandaria, that misty, dark forest place. I forgot what that area was called. And then we have the Vancor being ganked by shadows, which would be the Shah, a Gorak. Of course, he has no problems here finding a Pandaren witch to help him. And then we got a Shah monster Vancor chasing people down. Failed to restrain him. I think no, these were a font here. Starfire hiding, but that's not working. He's onto her. But of course, trying to reach him. Yep, going on with that. So, taking a hit from Angry Taran. Go and leave a mess. Just put him to sleep. And now we're inside the hut where I tried to make some environment stuff. Now in times I actually have a folder with environment stuff so I can fill an environment. These things I had to draw on my own each time I did them. Here it was just a nice, just copy this background, put it in here, and then just smear it with a brush to make it look all dizzy. So, of course, for these drawings, to try and make Starfire look more like like a spirit or whatnot, just took a brush, made a white, gave it a feather edge, and traced the outline of her. And since Vancor isn't fully complete, he's been fractured by the shard or whatever, he is semi-transparent in these things. As we get a nice little Venom-inspired takeover of him. That makes it look like he has 4 eyes because, don't you know, light up the nostrils. A nice little star, another star surge, looking nice and colorful there. Vancor jumping around, grabbing onto stuff, very, like I said, Venom-like. Some Starfire. No, just fighting. I mean, not a whole lot to say, other than, I guess, gosh, way back then, trying to come up with choreograph of action pages to create back and forths. Here we see Starfire gets beamed up after beating that monster Vancor. And here we have, I guess, insecurities or doubts. We've got a nice little transparent Vancor going on there. A doubt ghost here. You breathe in that fog and you start to doubt yourself. Of course, Starfire takes care of that. And this was a little joke. I remember my mom seeing this page and saying that she wanted to see what the little baby was going to look like. But nope, not happening. I think. Yep. Now get dumped here and find the real Vancor and the fake Starfire. That's just so mad that she can't come up with any more insults to say. So here we have the Shah of Fear. But Starfire is able to reach real Vancor, so they team together to take out Fear Shah. And I think this might have been... No, that's a different Shah. I can't remember where the Fear Shah came from. I think that's at one of the last zones in the Miss Bandera thing. Gosh, I can't remember. Man, that was so long ago. Some fighting, moving, slashing, different stuff. Got a first experiment with doing a light sword. I wonder if we'll ever see that concept again. And Fear just melts away. And they go to this place where I used a real grass brush this time to try and color in the grass and create a nice soft looking grass. We got some mountains out there in the background that look blue. I think if I remember right, I was coming back from the desert and looking out across the valley as we're coming down one range of mountains and seeing the mountains out in the distance and how they had kind of this blue look to them and almost seemed to fade at the bottom. So that's what it looks like. A little too happy there. Red and green got up to shenanigans. Now we get the backstory of Gorak and a new color drawing. This one digital. You can see it's nice. Some of its nice coloration on it. A even younger Gorak. This one rocking the mutton chops. He's happy, expecting a kid, which of course means things are going to go wrong. So he's getting deployed from somewhere in the Barrens to this little outpost that sits at the very northern Barrens, and I think next to Ashenwood or something like that. I forgot what that area is called, but it just goes from desert to green, just like that. So nice little thing there. Gorak finally got he's a dad, coming home and totally finding a Uncle Owen situation. I can't remember Luke's aunt's name, but this is actually like a copy of that scene. So the bodies are laid out in the same way because I have no originality. Gorak, of course, being in a blood rage, finding the humans are still there. A more alliance, I should say, are still there. Got to make sure this guy calls out Patterson so we know his name. Or so rather, Gorak knows his name so he can find him again. And all these years later, he's going to find him. And Vancor gets put in charge. All grown up. Now here we have Halloween. The first Halloween, of course. Halo, my favorite. Vancor's the Master Chief. Some Marines, and a Marine Sergeant, and Starfire as Cortana. Gosh, it would be years later before I tried to draw this again. Because, man, that's just a lot of little detail to try and draw. This took a while. If you're wondering, this would be Halo 3. Which is one of my favorite Halo styles. So here we have just some alliance for it. I can't remember if this was supposed to be anyone in particular. But so we're going to have our infiltration. Of course, we got the grapple hook. So now sneaking in. Big old ice boulder breaking stuff in. Or is it ice boulder? No, it's a frozen green. Where an ambush was set up for them, except they were ready for it. Patterson or someone getting away. Gorak goes after them. Of course, you got to split them up so Gorak could have his own revenge. We got a Scarlet Onslaught, one of the lesser known, well, I say lesser known, but one of the Northrend factions I have very little experience with because I barely reached endgame in Northrend, and so I didn't get to experience much of it just because I was such a novice. Of course, this looks like a copy, possibly a copy custom brush I did of the insignia on his shield and tabard. Which I think I wouldn't do this technique again until much later in Gratz when I did the tattoos for for Aurora and Tyria. And I made a little custom brush so I can stamp those things. Sarah Verge's tattoo bends too much around his arm for it to really be practical, so I have to draw his manually every time. Make the stairs slippery. Got them fighting here. This guy, he knows what's up. He's a tough fighter. Vancor almost gets taken out here. Gorak's spear finally gives. He's able to break and gets injured. Things not looking good for him. But, he's a smart warrior, so he uses his broken weapon to his advantage to intercept the sword and take the guy out. Now, he's a coward, so he runs some more, but dunk, Gorak's going to catch him. Now, interesting note here, this is intentional. Oops. There, this little thing, where a warrior dies a death by a weapon, but a coward or a criminal is hung. And so Patterson, being a criminal, being a coward, is hung and has no honorable death. So that was just an intentional design. Starfire goes Super Druid and brings in a tree. And they escape into the night as Gorak begins to fade. So here we have a bird, me trying to draw some feathers. Not really working. But it's an attempt. We're at Thunder Bluff. Makes some false leads like it's going to be Gorak's funeral, except he's here. Nope, he's alive. It's a wedding. So fun note. I actually worked with my mom to help design this wedding dress. So yeah, that's that. Just a little interesting detail there. And a nice little happy moment. Time for these two as they're finally married. Here is my 1 year thing of Gratz, where I just blabble a bit and even thank some of the earliest subscribers to Gratz during that first year. But yeah, so that's a long time ago. Give them a magic soundproof tent. Gorak, injured now, so he's out adventuring. But he's going to try and stay around for a few more years as Vancor and Starfire ride off on a just married Kodo. Red and Green think about what's going to happen and how things are changing. Like this hot dog slowly cooking over the panels. Garage accepts that he's not going to have a warrior's death anytime soon and is going to have to wait out and hang around. And Starfire and Vancor enjoying their honeymoon together. So, have that, have a Christmas page, and then our first look at the upcoming, I guess, what would be the third book of Gratz. Alright, and here we are, Gratz Adventure. The third story of Gratz. And, yep. So, 399 pages, just first two books. So there we have Vancor and Starfire coming back, and everyone wants to know when the baby. Where's the baby? When's the baby getting here? So that's kind of funny because now, listen to my little sister's. Everyone wants to know about the baby. So they're getting a mission from old Gorak to go to Domination Point, which was, I think, like 4.1 or something like that, or maybe 5.1 patch back in WoW. It's actually one of my favorite WoW patches. And here we have the copy and paste of trees. Best way to make a forest. And we can see they got the upgrade. Red and Green are back to wearing shirts. A few changes now. Vancor's being willing to tease Starfire. So yeah, just a few changes. Going through, take a look at some like broken Mogan statues, some waterfall, a thrilling wall, and Valley of the Four Winds, or what's supposed to look like it. Valley of the Four Winds was actually one of my favorite areas to fly over in WoW because it looked like the old bomber footage of Europe from the Second World War. So here you have people come around and all the I'm growing a beard, all the Pandaren kids, and another reference for some strange panda and a strange little hamster thing there. So we go on. just getting more about the mission and the hiring of the Sneak. This time he's been upgraded, so now he's got pouches on his builds. And is he mad? No one knows. He just wants people to be quiet. And this bush was actually a object that, I say object, one of my earlier pieces of environment stuff that I made that I could just, I had its own folder where I could just take out and drop it into stuff. And here we have the same bush, just duplicated and rotated to make this nice little window. We'll take a look at a little bit of a bogan. Have them outside of some small cave here. So now calling them dog faces. Just a generic insult, nothing in particular about that. Spiky ice walls, explosive sticks. The setting up of the red and green's gifts. Bancor planning a morning surprise for Starfire when he gets attacked by Majinimaz. That name is actually a misspelling, but a mixed up other person's name. Just this whole thing has been one big reference, but a collection of references. But that is just a scrambled up name there. Starfire, put on the paint makeup, the stripes. She's happy. Found some nice flowers. I think I still might have this flower file that I made. I mean, it's just the one leaf I've duplicated over with some lines in the middle, but that's there. Of course, another reference here to Bane and Batman. Starfire upset about this, and Cinnamogul, something's happened to his hand, and so he, of course, teleports away as all magic users do. Funny thing, I don't know if Mogo are statues or not. I think I never fully understood that, and still don't. Apparently, the lore of WoW, what they are, if they're a fleshy creature or if they're statues or what. And here we have the Valentine's page. I think the second one. Vancor's certain, so send out red and green and the Sneak to deal with it.
Hello there.
Sneak, he makes a very good point. He is a very persuasive guy. So just more generic magic thing to make stuff happen, such as getting sucked into a wormhole or a little portal thing, which I can't remember if this was supposed to be anything in particular, but to me this looks like it may have been the start of Digimon, like the first episode when they get sucked into the world. That may have been based off of that. Of course, long fallen Sneak's he's just falling. Crazy stuff happens with these people. Wind up in the snow. Nice little tower with some icicles on it. Okay, go inside where a creepy dark shadow thing possesses a statue, or rather, possesses a bit to try and break it down. Now, this was something interesting where dependent on the view or the brightness of a person's monitor, this couldn't always be seen. So if you can't see it right now, you may need to brighten your screen up. But a nice little wispy shadow creature that disappears. So they go sneaking in, and then they find the dog face, the guy they're looking for. Get in powered up. Gotta make a plan. Just going. What's the plan? Get him! So, see here, nice power infused. Some fire and ice effects. I was doing more work with that there. But it was just a distraction for the Sneak to come in. with a flying kick. So interesting thing here. I had not yet at this time gotten a fonts I use for a lot of the impacts and stuff that I use now. I use a special impact font, same with a yelling font, and in general speech fonts and different things like that. So I had not done any of that by this time. So this is just a regular font, I think like Arial or something like that, just set with some distortion on it. And here we have some attempts at mine at replicating multiple motions or motion blur with the repeated arms and onomatopoeias. Sneak being very acrobatic. And it apparently does nothing. Didn't hurt at all. So we got some fire, some ice. Starting to see that it's having some impact on him. So of course that just makes him mad. So he does a big old explosion. And what do you do when there's a big old explosion? In boss fights, you get behind the pillar. Just dive behind that pillar, block it out, avoid it. So we see somehow ice gets stuck in stone. And they launch they try to launch a sneak attack, but he was ready for it, except where he thought he was. But nope, swiped away that gem, and without it to hold his form, he turns back into stone. And we see this little shadow thing form out of the stone. So we never get an explanation as to what that shadow thing was. It's just one of those creepy little mysteries in the mountains of, what is it? Who knows? I don't know. It was creepy and it was there. But Vancor's better now. So here we got a slightly better view of the Four Winds fields. I can't remember if I say this, but I do like actually Starfire's armor design quite a bit on it. I think that was based off of a Druid set, the Dreamer set or something like that. I liked for quite a while. And so here we have just journeying and traveling, a nice little Oppenheimer reference. The great debate over drift or spit. What is it? I don't know. Geddy Lee says what he wants. A storm with blue lightning, some fat raindrops as it starts to come down. This was I liked this page. This was nice. Creating a nice sheet rain. Of course, Red and Green's tent holds up nicely for them. And an Easter page. A bit of a rare page where I usually don't do symbolism, but we have here we have of course Listen to Christ's resurrection. It's Starfire mimicking Mary, and she's kneeling because she saw him first. My gosh, just the head on him. His head is, and on her. It's like, wow, the heads are like twice the size of their bodies. What a little chibi or something there. Vancouver representing the apostles that came to check, and then Red and Green being the other apostles that talk. Oh, apparently Vancouver represents Peter, so apparently I did explain the symbolism on that page. So we have just traveling, a little bit of trouble, and then these gosh, I forgot what the lizard people were called in Pandera, but yeah, these things, which I actually liked these quite a bit when I drew them at the end of this. They were not bad. Getting a good kind of lizard eye, the two colors for the eyes going on here. So yeah, I like them actually quite a bit still. You can see that there's a jump in the temps there. So of course got some fighting with the lizards. Nice little tornado thing to CC them, and lizards running away once again. I do like how that came out. Little panda baby, or cub, and the misty stairs. So here we have, of course, a nice little hot spring. But I think, yeah, that's right. There's a hot spring inn up on the stairs because you have to go there and report to Rathian for a lot of the legendary quest line. And if I remember correctly, there's different NPCs that would be spawned in the hot tubs at just in general there. So obviously the hot tub, the it has been expanded from the one room it is in WoW. But yeah. Let's see, Starfire taking away her man. Now she wants to be pampered. And so we have Vancor pampering Starfire, which, funny or not, I got someone ridiculing me over this page that somehow Starfire was the one pampering Vancor, but yeah. So that's just a funny side note. Nope, they're not on there, but yeah, just someone just blah, blah, blah about it. Of course, we have Red and Green struggling to find anyone that they can connect with. I mean, who can connect with these two? All right, who can connect with the later to be dubbed blueberries? We have a nice little tree thing here where I think I actually drew like the whole flower tree, cherry blossom tree, back here, and then just copied and pasted it and moved it along to make it look like they were walking. For Starfire in his stands, you make sure you get the last splash in. Make sure you splash last and then call a truce. So here we have one of the little Sherpa guys delivering letters from Gorak about how retirement is going with him. And it is an intense battle between him and Roots. So that looks like things are going good for there. Some Alliance wanting to fight with Horde because that's what you do in Pandora. The whole expansion was actually, in all honesty, a pretty decent, I think, story about the Horde and Alliance conflict. I know there's some back and forth on that about Horde getting too much story and Alliance not getting enough, and I slightly agree with that idea. But I think the best defense I ever heard for that was that, well, you have to convince Horde players to turn against the War Chief. Alliance don't need to be convinced to go kill the Horde War Chief. So that makes sense. Plus, I mean, come on, you also had Garrosh, the guy who hammed it up all the time. I mean, even the 30 seconds he was in Shadowland was full-on ham mode. It was awesome. So here we have some fish. Some of the fish people. Again, I like how they came out. Just I say the complexity to them, but just I guess their little appearance, the little details and stuff on them. I like them. Of course, we have one the Hosen monkey, Uka Uka. I don't think they ever say Uka Uka, but then a Pandaren and me continuing not to be able to draw alcohol. Just a fun note. That's one thing I still can't get right. Probably because I don't drink it. Of course, a panda chef. And if it's a panda chef, what do you need? You need a big old butt shot of it. Because how else do you know it's a big fat panda? So lions being grumpy. Or just goofing around. Them sitting around hoping everything would work out fine. Uka Uka. That's how monkeys talk. Or Hosen. Gosh, this was a very, I guess, attempt made of an expression with the purple shadow line. I forgot I ever did anything like that. Of course, we had the chef has been killed. Someone killed the food source. Of course, point fingers at the lions when you got the good old thing of, whoever attacked this person had 5 claws. All 4 of them have 3 fingers. There is a lack of the extra 2 fingers needed for attacking. I think this might have been one of my first attempts at a little murder mystery in Gratz. Of course, Vancor and the Alliance captain working together. He's a smart guy. He knows, better to make friends than to make enemies. I talk with all the people in there. This one. Trig. I forgot her whole name, but Trig from Trigonometry commented a lot on the early stuff of Gratz and in the Blizzard Watch comment section. And here she's doing a Miss Maple thing. that she talked about. So that's who this character is, this Gnome Death Knight. That was a nice little reference to, as a cameo appearance of Trig. Angry Monkey, Sherpa. No Trig comment. She must have left that on WoW Insider. So I'm talking around trying to figure out who it is. But nope, it wasn't the Alliance Sky's own person. Look around. And the killer's still in the room. Of course, Vancor's able to catch them, and it's the Alice person. So see her get angry and shown off. Oh, she's actually a worgen that was disguising herself in a human form. Which, I mean, she's upset, kind of about Gilneas being destroyed. I think that's a storyline that seems kind of like got abandoned later on in WoW, or not fully, I think, ever addressed, that the Worgens lost their home. And so that, I think, wasn't ever explored fully enough. Of course, we have a nice little bit of humor at stake, or steak humor, with Vancor trying to figure out if a ribeye is a good cut of steak or not. Get it? Because he's a cow. Get it? Get it? Cow? Whatever. Some talking, fighting, but Captain Guy gets protected by the big old iron bull. So the Lions have to arrest their own person, which he's not happy about. So here we have a 4th of July page. I think I did this one when I was in California visiting my family out there. The old airplane decal art girl. This was supposed to be a B-29 that I tried to draw from memory and didn't quite work. These windows are way too small. This sort of as my great-grandpa flew. He was a tail gunner in a B-29 during World War II, so that's a nice little throw out there. So here we have out in the Jade Forest, these nice big tall mossy rocks, and these little guys, which once again copy-paste, but I do like the detail on them. Trying to come up with these rock chips and stuff to make those little jade emerald spider things. Of course, Vancouver takes one out, red takes some more out, green gets his, and then Starfire is just bringing in the rain of stars to drop a whole bunch of them. So she's excited about what they're going to have for dinner tonight and that she doesn't need to make it, and a elf shows up from travel form about the druids needing to meet with Starfire. Ren and Green are excited because they get to be left unsupervised again. So she comes in, goes to meet with the druid council. Once again, I have no idea about WoW politics or the different groups or whatnot. So we have something that looks like a druid. I think that would end up being more influenced by Tyrande, who is not a druid, but a loon priestess. Something that looks like is supposed to be inspired by a Milfarian, but not him. It's just a living tree. Looking at about seeing her move up in the ranks, and this messenger, just having no idea what he's that he's just kind of pushing the wrong buttons around with Vancor and such, so he just gets thrown into the water. So Starfire only not even really considered the offer, just went and talked to Vancor and said that she made her choice a long time ago. She's not going to move up and become a strong druid. She's going to be a happy where she's at in the life she chose. The return of the sassy elf that she chews out, and just like Vancor, throws her off into the water. So here they have a nice little. Vancouver finds out he gets to be a dad, which, funny enough, is now my youngest brother. He had a kid, and he was quite surprised. I say quite surprised. He was excited when my sister-in-law, when he saw the little positive thing, and he was like, "Really? Is this for real? Really?" So yeah, that was, that was. So he had his kid earlier this year, so earlier in 2022. I did this 8 years earlier about. So it's weird to see some of these things I'm referencing, or I say, in the stories that have actually happened around, I guess, my life since then. And here we have the nice little baby. I had to look up and understand what kind of talk with my mom about what make babies cute. It's not when a fro suddenly pops up, but when they stretch their little arms and they can't quite reach over their head. And reference to and called her Moonlight, which she was named way back in 2011, from that time travel story. And thus we end with the original Gratz trilogy of them just being one happy family. Gorak was able to avenge his wife. Red and Green, but I guess adventures kind of were good for them, and Vancouver and Starfire settle down and have a happy little calf. I've, since doing this story over the last few years, 8 years, I guess, have thought about from time to time about going back and making more stories with these characters and such, but just as time has kind of moved on, it's kind of been decided that, there's nothing more I really could do with them. Just, I guess, let them have their happy ending, and leave things where they're at. So unfortunately, I don't think we'll ever see them again, but it was a good journey. It was a good first travel through my webcomics and such. So that concludes the original Gratz trilogy, which means our next segment is going to be with this character.